And if Justice Thomas really wants to deal with bullying in America, or this problem of people supposedly unwilling to accept outcomes that they don't like, I've got some advice for Justice Thomas. Start in your own home. Have a conversation with Ginni Thomas. She refused to accept the legitimacy of the 2020 presidential election. Why? Because she didn't like the outcome. And so instead, she tried to steal the election, overthrow the United States government, and install a tyrant.
That was Congressman Hakeem Jeffries yesterday railing off on the coup-ish behavior of Ginni Thomas. That's wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who has been tied to multiple efforts to overthrow the government in definitely more ways than one. Now it's finally the time that the Dems are doing something about her. Welcome into TYT's Overruled. I'm legal analyst Adrienne Lawrence. It finally happened. The chairman of the 1-6 committee plans to ask the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas to answer questions about her involvement in trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Representative Bernie Thompson made this announcement earlier today, saying it's time for us to invite her to come talk. Now, this comes in the wake of more evidence coming out of Ginni Thomas's efforts to overthrow the election results in Biden's favor. If you recall, we first learned of Ginni Thomas sending text messages to Trump's then Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. Then it came to our attention that she contacted at least 29 Arizona Republicans, seeking their help in not certifying the election results. Should you need a recap of what more Ginni Thomas has been up to, well, the remainder of the remarks by Congressman Jeffries lays out the high points of her antics pretty well.
That's bullying. That's being unwilling to accept an outcome because you don't like the results, because the former twice impeached so-called president of the United States of America lost legitimately to Joe Biden. How did she respond? Instead, she said the Bidens should face a military tribunal in Guantanamo Bay on trumped-up charges of sedition. You've got to be kidding me.
Adding to that, yesterday it was revealed that Ginni Thomas emailed then-President Donald Trump's lawyer, John Eastman, encouraging him to help ensure Trump stays in power. And a little sidebar, Eastman clerked for Justice Thomas after law school, which is probably why Thomas had him on speed dial and felt completely comfortable firing off an insurrectionist-type email. When confronted with the realization that she's going to be called before Congress, Ginni Thomas broke her silence. She told the conservative outlet Daily Caller, "I can't wait to clear up misconceptions. I look forward to talking to them." Of course, she didn't explain what she meant by misconceptions, as it seemed quite clear from her emails and text messages that the justice's wife was waging a coup. But her response does suggest that she's open to talking to the committee, which most likely should be under oath. Let's go ahead and break this down. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Ginni Thomas should be in handcuffs. The fact is that she is not is disconcerting. There has long been sufficient evidence of her attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election, from the text messages she sent to Mark Meadows to the multiple emails to 29, at least, Arizona lawmakers. And it is stunning that the 1-6 committee is just now calling her to testify. But what makes this even worse is that the head of the committee seems somewhat reluctant to call her up. Representative Thompson, remember, he says this: "It's time for us to invite her to come talk." What is that? You're not inviting the woman to brunch. It should be a subpoena compelling Ginni Thomas to speak. The pussyfoot approach by the Dems, it will continue to be our downfall. Get aggressive, get real. This is for democracy. Do you have any faith in the 1-6 committee actually holding Ginni Thomas accountable? You let me know in the comments below. Hit that like and follow button, and thanks for watching.